I have a friend, a great cosmic wonder friend that speaks to me through all kinds of situations, happenings, people, and ordinary moments. This great cosmic wonder, the oracle, conscious awareness, sometimes says things to me like, your back probably doesn't need a perfectionistic spiritual athlete right now. It probably needs exactly what you offered it last night. A little steadiness, a little honesty, a little spaciousness, and a mind that is just willing enough to stay. You know, there can be a lot of conflict that arises with that other character, the mind. You know exactly the character I'm talking about. The one that says things like, despite physical pain, emotional exhaustion, medical appointments, nervous system activation, and limited sleep, I should probably record a profound orientation, reorganize the studio, grow the business, transcend suffering, optimize my funnel, become enlightened, and maybe stretch some more. Oh, and create great art while improvising on my cello, joining a band, playing jazz guitar, and singing. Meanwhile, the body's over there be like, madam, we are over here trying to survive a sock application due to the back spasms. And I think part of the beauty of all of this is that I keep discovering in real time that conscious awareness is not asking me to become some perfected spiritual performer. Not at all. It feels much closer to loosening, allowing, orienting, returning, staying. Even last night I had to notice that laughter counted as well. That's also part of the loosening, part of the returning. Because on the one hand, there are these great mystical teachings of the universe where somehow the left foot sock application becomes a metaphor for an advanced spiritual initiation process. I think what makes these last many days of reflections on the differences between content and context and how it all relates to conscious awareness and what that can mean for you and for me is that I'm not speaking from some abstract mountaintop where human limitation just disappeared. I'm speaking from back spasms, medical appointments, grief, YouTube thumbnails, financial pressure, creative longing, along with trying to put on socks without summoning a lumbar exorcism. And somehow inside of all that, I keep returning to conscious awareness rather than the content. When I think about it, that's deeply human and deeply believable. You know, sometimes the content is not some dramatic existential crisis, and sometimes it is. But sometimes the content is just simply pain, fatigue, resistance, boredom, frustration, aging, oh yeah, physical limitation, anger, comparison, overwhelm, or just simply trying to function while activated. And then the real question becomes, can I still orient to conscious awareness, to context, while struggling with something as ordinary as putting on a sock? To me, that's incredibly accessible. Not having to prove some kind of spiritual arrival, not having to perform transcendence. Doesn't it bring the whole conversation back into lived human experience? Which is where all of us already are anyway. And underneath the humor of the sock analogy is something profoundly true. And honestly, maybe the humor actually helps the teaching land more clearly, less mushed down and woo-woo. Don't we all want to recognize ourselves through the experience of others, not only in who we aspire to become, but in who we have been and who and how we are now? How quickly the mind creates struggle, how fast identity forms around difficulty or indeed around easefulness, how tightly gripping can suffering really be? It's in these ordinary moments where massive doorways into orientation, context, and conscious awareness seem flung wide open. I don't need to transcend my humanity. I'm including it. It's actually quite relieving. No spiritual performance. Just honesty about being human, about discovering not only a new understanding, but the bridge to a new understanding, a different way of being, which I've referred to through this series as orientation, experiential, a dimension, context, conscious awareness, which has very little to do with how most of us are used to living, almost entirely inside the mind. And yet, conscious awareness can hold all of it. The humor about socks, the pain, the exhaustion, the nervous system activation, the moments where the body says, absolutely not, no sock. And so here we are discovering that conscious awareness can hold all of it. Not after life becomes perfect, but inside life as it is. Because so much spirituality, especially when people are suffering, becomes another attempt to escape being human, to transcend grief, transcend fear, transcend the nervous system, transcend limitations, transcend vulnerability, transcend uncertainty. But what I keep circling back toward in these reflections feels much more compassionate and much more inhabitable, not transcending humanity, but including humanity, including the recent exhaustion, the gripping, the body, the mind, including the moments where putting on a sock felt like an Olympic event. And discovering that conscious awareness is large enough to hold all of that without requiring exile from our humanity. I don't know about you, but I certainly have a hunger for that. I'm imagining that many of us do. Not another impossible standard, not another performance of enlightenment, not another demand to rise above, but a place to stand inside being human. And honestly, I'm thinking that humor is becoming an increasingly important part of the teaching as well. It keeps warmth inside the work, and it prevents these reflections from becoming only heavy or abstract. It allows us all to breathe a little fuller and a little deeper, which feels deeply connected to loosening the grip on content while continuing to develop our awareness of context and conscious awareness as the foundation that our content can rest within and even flourish within its dimensionality. Thank you for being here today. I'm really looking forward to our next meeting. It'll be day 21, the final day of reflections in the series on the differences between content and context. I'll see you soon.